Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for my rational perspective on Chelsea 2, Leicester 1. Football, man, a crazy game. I think we saw almost everything in that game, and fortunately in the end, despite a lot of drama and twists and turns, Chelsea have a major 3 points, which puts them now on the brink of securing a top four. I think it was incredible to see the fans back inside Stamford Bridge, and I think that absolutely had a telling impact tonight. It reminded me a lot of the Leeds performance, the intensity of that performance, and how different and how lovely football is with supporters back inside the ground. The support they gave from minute one, I unfortunately obviously wasn't there tonight, but the atmosphere came through on TV, and I know people there were speaking about how it didn't feel like it was, less than maximum capacity. It sounded like there were 45,000 people inside Stamford Bridge, and the team needed it tonight because after the heartbreak of Saturday, and this result was not going to make up for the cup final, but I think you have to praise the team performance, one of the best I've seen this season consistently, with the exception of one mistake that nearly cost Chelsea a lot, that got Leicester back into the game. But I think the focus, the intensity, the interplay, the performances of a majority of players on that pitch was sublime tonight when Chelsea needed it. And it's frustrating because when you see levels like that tonight, in such a critical game for Chelsea, you wonder where it was the previous two games. And that's not me trying to be negative tonight. It's a massive win. We have to be happy with it. But you just see the levels this team can reach. It reminds us of the euphoria of beating Real Madrid. It reminded me a lot of the Real Madrid performance. And I think there's a lot of players you can pick out tonight to praise, because it's a big 3 points. And I love the scrap at the end. Daniel Marty, of course, had to be involved. I wonder if that video he posted on Saturday night may come back to bite him come Sunday evening if Leicester City don't have Champions League football. Let's hope that is the case. But I think that, it was interesting to me going into the team lineup. I spoke yesterday in my preview. Kai Havertz being injured, I think, was a massive thing for this game in terms of the front three that Tuchel would have played. Of course, we never know if Kai didn't get that injury, would Timo have started still? I think that's a big question mark. But of course, Pulisic coming back in, Ben Chilwell coming back in, him sticking with the same back three that started on Saturday with James, Thiago Silva and Rudiger, David right wing back, Kante, Jorginho as the same double six. And of course, I think I've already said Mason Mount was in there. Of course, we did see Tammy Abraham on the bench as well, which was a nice surprise, even though he didn't come on off the bench, and Billy Gilmour was out of the squad completely. So I think in terms of the lineup, it was really frustrating not to have Kai Havertz ready, because I would have liked to have seen him in this game. I think Timo Werner, there was always going to be a big spotlight on him tonight. It's so hard analysing Timo Werner performances, and I want to get this out of the way because Timo, I think tonight's performance sort of sums up his season in a lot of ways. There's the frustration with him being offside for the first disallowed goal, frustration with him handling the ball when he could have headed it pretty easily, but then he wins the penalty. He stretches the Leicester defence. He adds the work rate, he adds the pressing that this Tuchel team needs to really operate at its maximum sort of level, and he was part of the play as well. Some of the lovely turns and movements he made. So it's so hard analysing Werner because he does a lot of things good. And I know there were some people, Jonathan Wilson, who's a journalist for The Guardian and has wrote Inverting the Pyramid, I'm sure you know who he is, was saying if Werner doesn't score like 50 goals next season, then the law of averages doesn't exist. And I understand that to a point, but I think that Werner, there's still a lot lacking in his game in terms of that first half. But I think that, in euphoria of winning the game. And it was just that thing, once again, of Chelsea having, I love the way we moved the ball around Leicester. It was so direct. It was so sharp. I think part of that was personnel. I think Pulisic was a big part of that tonight, being able to receive the ball in pockets of space and turn and drive at the Leicester defence. But the way Chelsea fluidly were finding space in between Leicester, I don't know if it was the hangover effect for Leicester. Maybe too many players were celebrating after the FA Cup final, but Leicester just weren't at our level tonight, and it should have been more than 2-0. And I think we've said that a lot with this Chelsea side this season. I said it after the Real Madrid victory a few weeks ago. It should be more than 2-0. I don't know if XG would say that. I don't think actually, apart from the Werner disallowed goals, did we miss many sitters tonight. But the overall intensity of the performance, I think, was massive massive from Chelsea from all parts. Defensively, I think Rudiger was an absolute monster tonight in many facets, scoring the first goal, being involved with a scrap at the end, which we have to come to because it was just a thing of beauty. It really was, and harked back to the Battle of the Bridge against Spurs in 2016, and the fans absolutely adored it. You could feel the energy there, and it was wonderful to see the players really getting ramped up and using the energy of the crowd in a positive manner. I just felt the law of averages, you were worried at half-time because it was 0-0. Leicester had one or two moments, not a lot. They hadn't hit a shot on target, but you were just worried at 0-0. It's always that thing of, in football, if you don't take your chances, you're going to be punished. But luckily, Chelsea, a bit like the Real Madrid performance, the relentlessness of Chelsea's performance, I think, is really impressive. And that's something we have seen under Tuchel, that this side at times isn't discouraged by things not going their way. I have to come, of course, to Mike Dean. I mean, an absolutely dreadful performance once again. VAR has never been the issue. The technology has never been the issue. It's the implementation of the technology by incompetent officials. And Mike Dean proved it again tonight. How is that not a penalty on Timo Werner? Luckily, there was quite an obvious one in the second half that VAR finally did work for, because VAR for some reason hasn't been working for Chelsea in recent weeks. Just an awful decision, man. And I don't want to focus on Mike Dean because he wants that attention, but just dreadful. And it's incredible. And I was watching the Man United game before this one, and it's just astonishing that at this level of competition, elite football, we still have such a low level of officiating. It's incompetency. It's just what it is. I don't think there's any campaign against Chelsea like maybe there was when we claimed when Jose was here, but I think that it's just so bad and it impacts so many teams. And of course, VAR adds to that frustration in the ground. I'm sure, being in the ground before VAR is such an awful experience for a match-going fan. It really is. So it would have been frustrating for them. But Mike Dean, horrible officiating tonight all round. But luckily, we did get the penalty in the end. But it was great to see that Chelsea scoring from a corner. I mean, that's a rarity. Luckily, Jamie Vardy, I think, maybe assist, flicking it onto Antonio Rudiger. Joe Tweedy was tweeting about this, that, Rudiger for months now has been trying to hit his wild shots from long range, and he ends up bundling the goal. I mean, I have to be honest with you guys, because we'd had 2 goals disallowed already, I didn't really celebrate the third time it went in because I was worried that it was going to be disallowed somehow. I thought VAR was going to take like 10 minutes to discover something about the goal that was wrong, but luckily it was all good, and Chelsea got off to the perfect start. I think it really, any momentum Leicester, any plan for Brendan Rodgers to try and counteract Chelsea's performances on the pitch compared to them, and intensity and constant pressure, I think that would have been a massive killer blow to them. A bit like a goal before half time, a goal after half time really set the tone for the majority of the second half, which went the way the first half did, and Chelsea having that dominance. Just the way we moved the ball really harassed Leicester. I mean, Jamie Vardy for the second game running barely gets into the game because of Reece James. He was trying to avoid Reece James in the first half, but we really limited the impact of him. I do want to bring up, sorry, can I just get to the penalty, of course, before I bring up Kovacic, because I think there is a lot of positive and negative about Kovacic tonight. But we get to the penalty. Once again, Timo Werner, being, and I can see why the crowd is going to fall in love with Timo a lot and support him, like we do a lot of nearly all of our players, but you can see his work rate is a big part of that, and that was a good movement by Timo. Fofana, I don't know what he's doing, sticking out a leg there, but at the same time, it's a great moment for Chelsea. It's a big moment in the end. It's the winning goal for Chelsea, and Werner wins another penalty spot in the Premier League for the club. So you see his importance there. I mean, luckily that one got given. And Jorginho, the coolness. I've criticised Jorginho in recent days. I mean, he's had a difficult week, but tonight he had a really, really good performance all round. I think he deserves a lot of praise tonight, because I think that penalty, call as you like, where he's always been really sublime despite some shaky moments from a penalty spot this season, but I think overall he tonight was everything you want him to be. And the problem is there's no middle ground with Jorginho for Chelsea. He's either poor, he's either languid, or he's tonight where he's really sharp on the ball. He gets it moving quickly, and that's how we were able to build up so quickly. So when you see Jorginho tonight, you really feel impressed by him, and you're like, okay, this is why you're in the team. But then you watch him against Arsenal and Leicester on Saturday, and you're just not as impressed, unfortunately. So that's the frustrating thing. Jorginho at his age, I don't think it's ever going to change, but I think he deserves praise tonight. Another player that deserves praise tonight is Mateo Kovacic, coming on for N'Golo Kante. The shame of it is Kante, we've got to be scared about his fitness. Is he ready for Sunday? Is he going to be ready for the Champions League final? But I have to say, Mateo Kovacic, with the exception of one really poor mistake, was really good tonight. He didn't look like a player that had been out of action for quite a while. I'm not quite sure when his last game was. I think it may have been the Porto first leg, was it? I think that he was out for. That was the last time I think he played a game. And he didn't look like a player lacking match sharpness. He came in and he only added to the intensity and breaking through the lines. And I think that was really helpful for Chelsea, the way we built up and stretched the play a lot of the time, getting our wing backs involved, getting up the pitch, being able to really hunt Leicester down and counter press them. And that's one of Kova's best abilities. But unfortunately, maybe you saw the sluggishness in his maybe lack of match fitness in the goal that we concede. It's a really, really poor goal to concede. I think it's a little bit like the Jorginho mistake against Arsenal, where maybe he just needs to pass it back to Mendy, maybe get a call. It's a really bad move. And I think that, once again, it seems like we have to do so much to score a goal, but then opposition teams at times feel like they can score goals against us at ease. And it just allowed them back into the game where they didn't deserve to be back in the game. We were harassing them, we were dominating them, and it made that last 10 minutes so edgy and so on a knife edge, because you knew if it ended 2-2 it would be absolutely devastating for us, given the performance but also the circumstances surrounding the importance of this game. I think that obviously the fight is an amazing one. It's great to see that amount of passion from the players, and a complete scrap, as I say. Daniel Marty, of course, involved. I thought the foul was actually from, I think it was Ricardo Pereira. That's where it started, and it seemed like Rudy was going on several players. I mean, Rudiger had his comical moment where he sort of decided to take it around the whole Leicester team. I mean, that is Rudiger. He's a bit like Diego Costa in the temperament. He feeds off the crowd, and unfortunately with Rudy, sometimes he goes the wrong way. But luckily under Tuchel, he's channeled his energy, his more aggression in the perfect way for Chelsea. That's why he's been one of our best and most important players under Tuchel. And the intensity of his pressing from defence, the way he steps up, the way he really bullies opposing attackers and really shuts them out the game. And you saw that aggression there, and I just love the way that the whole team rallied around there, and that's the team unity you want to see. And then of course we get the win. I think I've talked about everything in that game. Crazy bad officiating, VAR nonsense, Timo Werner being Timo Werner but still winning a penalty, Jorginho performing, Kante's injury, and as I said, Antonio Rudiger. But now Chelsea are on the brink of securing Champions League football once again. As I said, and this is not going to change even in my euphoria of the moment of this victory, top four is the standard requirement. It is this season. It would have been a real disaster to not get it. We haven't got it yet. Let's hope Sean Dyche can do us a massive favour, even if I think it will be officially confirmed if Burnley do us the biggest favour and give us a very early Christmas present by winning against Liverpool tomorrow night at Turf Moor, because that would end it. That would mean Chelsea would get Champions League football. But I think even a draw based on our superior goal difference to Liverpool would basically see us there before Aston Villa. So let's hope that is the case. But a massive, massive, massive 3 points. We move on to Aston Villa on Sunday, the final game of the Premier League season. This season is exhausting. It's draining, but thank God tonight we got a positive result, and it's amazing to have supporters back inside the bridge as it's supposed to be. Football is slowly getting back to normality. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you again.